Football perfect Sunday in the Mile High City. 76,000, the usual sellout crowd to see Kansas City attempt to level its record at 2-2. The Broncos are 2-1. Hello, everyone. I'm Dick Enberg. It's always been a great rivalry, and today it presents two coaches, Dick Vermeil, Mike Shanahan, who own 3 of the last 4 Super Bowl championships. But Shanahan, with all his success, finds himself in a 4-game losing streak against Kansas City. Hasn't thrown 1 touchdown pass, Dan Deerdorf, in those 4 games. And we're going to see Rod Smith and Tony Gonzalez, certainly 2 budding super players.
Oh, no kidding there, Dick. They've really become the go-to guys for their respective teams. And when you talk about Rod Smith, it's out of necessity because of their loss of Ed McCaffrey opening week, and Tony Gonzalez well on his way to becoming one of the truly greats that's ever played tight end. Now, the 2 quarterbacks from this team coming into this game and from opposite directions. Last week, Trent Green against the Redskins, nearly a perfect game, and Brian Griese, with precious little help from his teammates, really struggled against the world champion Ravens.
And adding intrigue to this game, Greg Robinson was the defensive coordinator for Mike Shannon here through those Super Bowl championships, but now he's on the other sidelines. And with that story, we go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, you're right, Dick. It's certainly been a big storyline in the parting of ways between Mike Shanahan and Greg Robinson. Less than amicable, to say the least. Robinson has been understandably tense this week. He steered clear of the media, but he said, look, I just have a job to do, and no, I'm not begging my players to win one for the Gipper. Still, the big question is, do the Chiefs have an advantage because of Robinson's inside information? Shanahan doesn't think so, but Brian Griese did tell us, I'm pretty sure Robinson knows all of my hand signals, looked for a bunch of dummy signs today and mixing things up on that end to try to keep the Chiefs off balance, Dick.
Well, and adding to that, Bonnie, Mike Shanahan knows the way that Greg Robinson thinks, so some feel that maybe the advantage falls to Denver's side. Well, Kevin Casper, has he been something? They've fallen in love with this rookie from Iowa. He's leading the league, 31-yard average on kickoff returns. Todd Peterson sends it to the goal line, and here comes Casper. Well, that was a ghostly effort to the 17-yard line for Casper, and the Broncos start from that spot. Brian Griese, the quarterback. Griese, son of course, the Hall of Famer Bob Griese. I believe he's here in attendance today. He was the leader in efficiency as a quarterback a year ago in the league, 102.9, and he's right up there again this year. 7 touchdowns, had 2 interceptions last week against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens really stuffed the Denver defense. They were a bit shocked earlier this week by how well they were handled. Mike Anderson starts at the running back, and this is Anderson up the middle. Solid gain of about 5 out to the 22-23. Eric Hicks made the tackle, and here's the starting lineup for the Broncos. Up front, they're small but very effective. Teague, Friedman, the Pro Bowler Neal, and Lepsis. Running back, Mike Anderson. You just saw him with the carry in his second year. Patrick Hape, the blocking back. Rod Smith leads the league in catches and yardage in receiving. Eddie Kennison has replaced Ed McCaffrey. Dwayne Carswell is the tight end. On second down and 5, not much there. And this Kansas City defense has allowed only 4 touchdowns in 3 games. Eric Hicks had 14 sacks a year ago. Browning, Ransom, and Owens join him on the front wall. Linebackers active, solid tacklers. Bush, Marcus Patton, who leads the team in tackles, and Donnie Edwards, he's second in hits. On the corners, ex-Bronco Ray Crockett, number 39, Eric Warfield at the other corner, Jerome Woods and Greg Wesley, hard-hitting young safety. There's Greg Robinson, toiled on the Denver sidelines as their coordinator. The throw into the flat, and not much there again, and the Kansas City Chiefs have stopped the Broncos on their opening possession as William Barty came up to make the tackle on Rod Smith.
Well, Dick Vermeil, when they got off to that 0-2 start, didn't panic. Being a veteran coach and having been there before, he said, I have so much belief in what I'm doing. I know it's right. There's no use losing control just because you drop your first 2 games. They then stomp all over Washington last week, and he said the biggest thing that happened, his quarterback, Trent Green, moved to the next level.
Tom Ruin, who leads the league in punting average, sends it to Dante Hall. Hall's got running room, 30, 40, and tripped up at the 42-yard line. Oh, that was close to going all the way. Billy Jenkins, a safety with a saving tackle for Denver. 58-yard punt, 26 on the return, and Trent Green takes the field to start at Indiana University. A young man who was the #3 quarterback, didn't take a snap for 4 years in professional football, and was seriously considering looking for work elsewhere in '98 when injuries to Jeff Hostetler and Gus Frerotte in Washington gave him his chance. Follows Dick Vermeil from the St. Louis Rams to Kansas City. From the 42, Priest Holmes, who had a big game against the Redskins last week when he rushed for 147 yards. Here is the Kansas City offensive starters: John Tate, Spears, Wegman, Shields, and Riley on the front, with Priest Holmes, the former Baltimore Raven, Jermaine Williams, Tony Richardson, the top player, will not play today, shoulder injury. Minnis and Alexander, the wideouts, and Tony Gonzalez. He has 15 catches and a touchdown this year. Had 93 grabs a year ago. And they moved him out and then sent Alexander in motion as Green's first pass into the flat is complete. And it's Alexander tackled just shy of the first down at the 49-yard line, where it'll be 3rd and 1. Here are the Broncos defensively. Washington, former Kansas City Chief Chester McLaughlin, Trevor Price, top Pro Bowler, a young talent, and Kavika Pittman. The linebackers, John Mobley, Al Wilson, and the venerable Bill Romanowski. His job is to watch Gonzalez today. Delta O'Neill and Denard Walker, the ex-Titan, at the corners. Eric Brown and Kenoy Kennedy at safety. 3rd and 1. And Green rolling to throw. In trouble, and down he goes at the 42-yard line, and Chester McLaughlin made the tackle.
Well, and right off the bat, Dick, you got to wonder if this rollout on 3rd and 1 isn't because of the absence of Tony Richardson. He is their power back, and without him, they really don't feel that they're as physical as they can be in short yardage. And the Denver defense comes up very, very large.
Dan Trzynski to punt. He'll deliver from around the 33, and Delta O'Neill stands at the Bronco 15-yard line.
But you really get the feeling that that would have been a Tony Richardson, just made for Tony carry 3rd and short.
Beautiful spiral punt. O'Neill lets it go. And what a backspin! And it's down at the 5-yard line. Trzynski pins Denver deep with a 53-yard punt. No return. We're underway. No score in Denver. And welcome back to Invesco Field at Mile High, the sparkling new facility. From the 5-yard line, the Broncos put it in play. And it's Anderson with a carry. Gets maybe 2. Into the teeth of that defense with John Browning, defensive tackle down low to trip him up.
Well, Denver last week against Denver against Baltimore was just completely ineffective in their running game, Dick. They only had 61 yards the whole game. They got away from it. They abandoned it. Mike Shanahan knows that coming into this game, for the psyche of his team as well as their success on the field, they have got to get into a running rhythm for the health of this football team. They are a running team.
On 2nd and 9, caught in his own end zone. Greasy gets it off and avoids the safety. Rod Smith was near where the ball was thrown, and Lou Bush, the 9-year linebacker from Washington State, number 56, almost got him.
Boy, and Greasy shows some real strength. You see Bush right up the middle, and it's look at that. Brian was able to stay on his feet as he took at least a couple stagger steps to his left, and Bush knows he had a safety there and just couldn't get him to the ground. That was a superior effort by Brian Greasy, staying alive.
Oh, now 3rd and 9, and of course the loss of Ed McCaffrey, you just can't minimize that in any way. It's really been a punishing injury for the Broncos, and Rod Smith unable to catch that ball, thrown a bit behind him, as William Barty, 2nd-year corner out of Oklahoma, was the defender.
Well, the loss of Ed McCaffrey takes away a balance that this passing game had. With that guy right there, Rod Smith, on one side of the field, the huge target in Ed McCaffrey to the other. Eddie Kennison has not shown anywhere in his NFL journeys that he is a reliable starting wide receiver in this league. He may prove to be, but to this point, he has not proven to be. And Kansas City won't treat him as such.
Bruins punt. Dante Hall back at his 38-yard line. And trips and goes down at the 42. Good coverage by Coggill. George Coggill, the backup safety. Another fine kick by Ruin, 57 yards.
Film on CBS is sponsored by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. Nextel, how business gets done. And by Burger King, home of the Whopper.
Chiefs put it in play at their 42. And it's Priest Holmes slipping outside and finds some tough resistance at the corner. Denard Walker acquired as an unrestricted free agent after 4 years at Tennessee playing corner for the Titans.
Well, a big part of the Denver passing game is Kevin Casper, the rookie. And as he was covering a punt, he's going to turn his ankle here at the very end. He goes down and he comes over to the sideline. He, little ginger on it. He gets some attention from the Bronco medical staff. He's got to be a factor today in this Denver offense. They need his help downfield.
Gonzalez, a tight end in motion, and then they draw to Holmes. He's across the 45 to the 48-yard line. It'll be third and a long 4.
Well, Dick commented on the great week that Holmes had last week. On top of that, 147 yards rushing. He had 78 yards receiving. He had 3 touchdowns. He was the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. That's pretty good production. But again, so much more pressure falls on Priest Holmes because of the absence of Tony Richardson. But he said more important than anything else, Dick Vermeil believes in me. And that means I know I'll get enough carries to prove myself.
Third and 4. Green underneath to Gonzalez. His first catch, good enough for a first down at the 47 of the Broncos.
And there to make the tackle, his personal shadow, anytime Denver and Kansas City play, Bill Romanowski. Romo, the strong side linebacker, his job more often than not to stay with Gonzalez. And Gonzalez really does not like Bill Romanowski at all. He even said, I really don't care if I look good or not. I really just want to make Romanowski look bad. He actually refers to Romanowski as a cheap shot artist, and most guys don't go as public as these two do about each other.
On first down, the toss to Holmes. Pinned in by Mobley, and Mobley makes the tackle in the backfield for a loss of 4. John Ulysses Mobley from Kutztown State. He is leading Denver in the first 3 games in tackles with 24. But back to Romanowski, his counterpart on the other side. This is his 212th consecutive game in the NFL. We asked him, when was the last time you didn't play? And he took us all the way back to 10-year-old Pop Warner in Vernon, Connecticut with the Shamrocks. He said, I've made every game then, high school, college, at Boston College, and the NFL. Green to Gonzalez, and Romanowski able to get him on the heels, but not until the big tight end for the Chiefs has what appears to be, yes, another first down.
Well, again, Tony Gonzalez, such a treat to watch. He'll come at a defense from any position. That time he comes from the normal tight end alignment. You see him right there, lined up at tight end with the slot just to his outside, and just comes in. And again, it's Tony running anywhere. You'll see him today at wide receiver. He'll be in the backfield. They're going to use a lot of motion to try to get Gonzalez open. The guy is the best in this league at tight end by a wide margin.
Barely beat the play clock, and Green to throw. He's going long. Intercepted in the end zone. Deltha O'Neal, his first of the season. So the Broncos stop the Chiefs. When we come back, they'll put it in play at the Denver 20.
Here's Snoop Minnis right here working against O'Neal. Now take a look at this as he gets downfield more towards the 20-yard line. He's going to put a double move right there, and he goes out instead of in, and it appeared that Trent Green thought that he was going inside.
Rod Smith with a tough catch over the middle as Greasy connects with his favorite target, leading the league in catches. That's his 29th of the year. Well, they had a Hurley snap there. Dan's point well taken. They had no chance to Green to throw a completed pass. Well, O'Neal had coverage on him all the way.
Yeah, the pass that Green threw, he threw it, I think, expecting Minnis to make a break to the inside when Minnis went to the outside.
Greasy rolls away from pressure, looking downfield, and then has to tuck it away and out of bounds after a pickup of maybe a yard or two.
Yeah, let's go back and look at again, this is Snoop Minnis up here working against O'Neal. But as he goes downfield, this is man coverage. It's just the two of them one-on-one. There's a move to the outside. And watch this right here. Minnis is going to make a move inside, but then he's going to go back outside. It looks like Green expected him to make a break to the end. See there, he goes outside. Well, that's when Trent releases the ball, and Snoop has no shot at it whatsoever. And it's now again, I'm not pinning the blame on Minnis, but somehow there was a breakdown in communication between Green and Minnis and the route to be run.
Second and 9, and Mike Anderson breaks into the secondary. Could go all the way at the 30, 20. Warfield, does he get him? Yes, out of bounds at the 1-foot line.
Oh, that might be. Oh,
no, touchdown! He changed his mind. The two officials checking each other, and they decided Anderson got the pylon.
Well, that was a 10-yard stiff arm by Mike Anderson that he put on Eric Warfield, because I think the original contact between these two was up close to the 10-yard line. Might even actually have been more closer to the 15. And Anderson, with that stiff left arm, keeps Warfield away from his body. All right, it starts with tremendous pass blocking up front, cutting in behind Neal and Nalen and Lepsis. But right here, Warfield's got the speed advantage. Here comes the stiff arm, right there about the 14-yard line. And they're saying that Mike Anderson gets the ball across the pylon. A real question was whether that left foot was out of bounds, but the two officials conferred.
And no challenge from Vermeil on the Kansas City sidelines.
Well, I'm sure Dick talked to his guys upstairs.
Jason Elam adds the extra point.
And in a hurry, Dick, they had to make a decision, and they didn't challenge.
Anderson's touchdown. Denver leads 7-0.
Totally new V6 Altima, the cure for the common car.
62-yard run for a touchdown by Mike Anderson, or was it 62 yards? We'll check after the kickoff. 80 yards and 3 plays after the interception in the end zone by Deltha O'Neal. Anderson rips off the longest play of the season for Denver. Elam roots one deep. Dante Hall will take the touchback. Let's go back to that run, Dan.
Well, we're all looking at the stiff arm. We're looking to see about, does he get it across the pylon? Watch his left foot right there. Mike Anderson is out of bounds at about the 2.5-yard line. And Kansas City didn't have time to challenge. Watch his left foot right there. His entire foot is out of bounds at that point in time, and Kansas City didn't get an opportunity. There's another very definitive look at it, way out of bounds. Yes, great stiff arm. Yes, he reached the ball across the pylon, but Kansas City would have had the challenge prior to the extra point. In those precious few seconds, their guys upstairs didn't get a chance to do so.
Yeah, they were a bit confused. The officials obviously were as well. This is Priest Holmes, who gets it just back to the line of scrimmage, the 20-yard line. Invite you to log on to NFL.com for exclusive online auctions. All proceeds will be donated to the September 11th relief effort. Just go to NFL.com or AOL keyword NFL.com.
You can make an argument that that is a flaw in the instant replay. You have to make a decision on something as crucial as a touchdown in those 20 or 30 seconds that it takes to get the extra point team out there and kick, which you know they're doing in a hurry.
A fake reverse and then a screen to Holmes, and Denver reads it very well. A 5-yard gain. John Mobley there to make the stop. It'll be 3rd and 5. Little razzle-dazzle, Dan.
Yeah, we're faking it all around, faking to the fullback, faking to the wide receiver, but it buys Green enough time. And it takes a little extra time nowadays to get these big giant linemen out into the screen pass. They don't get there as quickly as they did 30 years ago. These guys are, I don't want to say they're a lot slower, but a little slow.
Okay. Third down, a long 4. Green into the flat and not even close to Chris Thomas, number 87, and the Chiefs will bring on the punting team and Dan Straczynski.
Well, Chris Thomas, the free agent from St. Louis, he was supposed to continue his pattern to the sideline. At least that's what Trent Green thought. You could see that he just sat down rather than continuing his pattern to the sideline. So a couple times we've seen confusion between Trent Green and his receivers.
Short kick, Delta O'Neal comes up and then lets it bounce, and it'll take a Kansas City healthy roll back inside the 25-yard line. And with that, a timeout. 4 minutes remaining in this opening quarter. The Broncos lead by 7.
The day has ended. Amber blends to twilight blue. The world softens a bit around the edges. You release all the cares of the day, and nothing else in the world matters. Bella Sera Pinot Grigio. It's going to be a beautiful evening. Or as they say in Italian, it's going to be a bella sera.
There's no fuzz on this, Eagle.
Donovan shaves with
chunky soup.
God! No.
Mom, we're making a commercial here.
Donovan, chunky beef with country vegetables now has more beef. More lean beef to fill you up right.
More is good.
Mama, you can fill him up right after I fill him up right.
Eat your chunky, baby.
The Campbell's Chunky Beef Foursome.
Now we're more beef.
Okay, Vegas, Austin, Tulsa, Vegas, honey, Yuma, and Austin. Straws, kids? Phoenix, huh?
Was it suicide or murder?
He was electrocuted.
See why CSI's next case
Can I have your pickle?
is a real shocker. All new episode CBS Thursday.
Terrell Davis, the super player in the Super Bowl championships for the Denver Broncos, earned the 101 yards in the opener against the New York Giants. That put him over 7,000 for his career, but knee injury. They've had the surgery. They feel he might return.
About a month.
Yep, November.
Yeah, he had arthroscopic surgery on the 20th.
Here's Anderson, his replacement, picking his way into the secondary again. Carrying tackler to the 49-yard line. Eric Warfield finally got him down.
Oh, how important this is for the Denver Broncos, and from a psychological standpoint after getting just stuffed last week and trying to run the football against the Ravens. And they are just finding gaping holes up the middle. This offensive line back to looking the way they always did, and Mike Anderson showing a real unwillingness to go down. And again, who's trying to get him to the ground but Eric Warfield? And it's a struggle.
25 yards on that carry, so 87 yards on the last 2 carries for Mike Anderson. And this time Marcus Patton is there to take care of Olandis Gary as Gary comes in to give Anderson a breather.
Well, we saw a shot a minute ago of Greg Robinson, and one of the things about the defense he plays is that it's a gap defense, and it is predominantly an 8-man front defense. And the one flaw in the system is that if by chance you crack it, if you get through it early, oftentimes it ends up being a big play. And we've seen a couple already in the running game.
Greasy throws underneath Patrick Hape, who is the tight end blocking back for the Broncos, short yardage. And we remind you of Wednesday on CBS, the Amazing Race heats up. 7 remaining teams find themselves in the middle of the desert. It's never too late to get into the race. Don't miss an all-new episode Wednesday on CBS. Well, Mike Anderson's had his own amazing race here in the first quarter to the delight of the Denver faithful. 7-0 Broncos with 2:21 remaining in the first period. 3rd and 6. Greasy, good protection. Now breaks down, and he is sacked at the 39-yard line. John Browning logs his first sack of the season.
Let's take a look at the pressure up the middle. John Browning. Eric Hicks, we're seeing him work to the outside. They certainly got him accounted for, but with a real rush and a good burst to the quarterback after breaking free up the middle is Browning. Eric Hicks, the best pass rusher for Kansas City, drew the double team. That means that Browning beat a single blocker and got the sack.
Tom ruined a punt. Dante Hall stands at the 10. This a wobbler. Ball comes up, receives it at the 17, breaks the first tackle, runs into his own man, stays on his feet, and finally out of bounds at the 28-yard line, pushed out by Eon Gold. 43-yard punt, 10 on the return. Dan, we talked about Ed McCaffrey as Romo takes the field. And it seems even in this first quarter, Greasy, where you used to have that balanced field, McCaffrey one side, Smith the other, somebody's got to step up and fill that 101 catches McCaffrey brought to the team a year ago. Greasy can't seem to find the open man.
Well, it'll be an ongoing struggle, Dick. I don't think there's no short-term solution. Eddie Kennison and Kevin Casper are going to try, but it's just a statement as to how good a player Ed McCaffrey was.
Priest Holmes gets a big hole up the middle and then is jackknifed down at the 30-yard line. What do you have for us, Bonnie?
Well, Dick, the Broncos are currently without the services of rookie wide receiver Kevin Casper. He sprained a right ankle, but they're thinking it might be a little bit worse because a tape job didn't work. He's currently in the locker room. If it is more serious, a bit of a blow to the Broncos. Going into this game, he's the AFC's leading kick returner and also getting some balls as a receiver in the absence of Ed McCaffrey.
All right, thank you, Bonnie. Yeah, they feel here in Denver that he has a chance to be more than just a top kick returner, that he could fill that spot of wide receiver. The toss is to Holmes. He's caught in the backfield and smothered back at the 28-yard line. A loss of a yard will bring up 3rd down and long.
Well, as Bonnie talked about Casper, I remember Mike Shanahan telling us that he said Casper's going to be another Rod Smith. Now that's lofty praise, but that's how much Mike believes in rookie Kevin Casper. Keep in mind, Rod Smith has become a Pro Bowl player. He spent 3 years on the practice squad. That's the type of dues paying that you don't see a lot anymore, but certainly with Rod Smith, it came into play.
3rd down and 8. And Green to throw. Pressure on, steps away, shovels it ahead, but just for short yardage, not enough for a first down. Holmes with a catch, and the tackle will bring up 4th down and 5. Final seconds of this first quarter. Dick Vermeil's Kansas City Chiefs had good field position, but the O'Neal interception in the end zone led to that long 62-yard Mike Anderson run. 7-0 Broncos will return to Mile High right after this message.
Hey, what are you putting in over there?
DirecTV system.
Satellite, huh? I already got like 70 cable channels.
Well, this thing can get over 225 if you want them, all 100% digital quality.
It's on. It's on. It's unbelievable. I have a riding mower.
That's great, sir.
Now get our best programming package free for 4 months, plus free installation.
Beverly Hills.
If you want the best here, it'll cost you.
But the best pizza won't cost you. You can get a Pizza Hut pizza for just $8.99. Right now, it's the Big New Yorker pizza. Make it a Supreme or Specialty for just 99 cents more.
Can we eat in here?
Only at Pizza Hut.
Going a full 12 rounds is all about stamina. That's why I like High Endurance from Old Spice. No deodorant protects better. And it lasts longer because it evaporates more slowly. High Endurance lasts longer than I do. But I'm working on that.
I'll get this.
Oh, a platinum card. There's always a catch. Low rates that explode. Hidden fees. It's highway robbery.
Actually, I have a Capital One platinum card.
Get a new Capital One Platinum card with a 9.9% fixed rate that starts low and stays low, plus no balance transfer fees.
What's in your wallet?
Monday, 951 days without losing a package. Can Doug break the record?
I can't sleep. I can't eat. Well, I can eat, but not as fast.
The King of Queens. Then, when you get home late, it's nice to have someone who keeps the love light on.
Come here, sexy.
Oh, please. That ship sailed 5 minutes ago.
An all-new Yes Dear. After an all-new King of Queens, CBS Monday.
Welcome back to Denver. Dick Enberg with Dan Deerdorf, Bonnie Bernstein. 7-0 Broncos, and Dan Straczynski will open this second period. Kicking to Delta O'Neal, the former University of California star. His interception denying Kansas City a chance for a score in that first period. High but fairly short, fair catch O'Neal at the Denver 28-yard line. 42-yard punt, no return. Tuesday on CBS, attorney Nick Fallon is a master of the corporate wars, but now that he's been sentenced to defend children, his toughest battles aren't about money. Don't miss an all-new episode of The Guardian. That'll be Tuesday on CBS. Mike Anderson.
You know, it was interesting talking to him, Dick. You know, Mike, of course, served 4 years in the Marines, and as we know today that our men and women of the armed forces are in harm's way, Mike said, you know, that could have been me on television kissing my family goodbye. And certainly Mike Anderson, a man who knows that feeling.
Empty backfield. Gracie throws underneath. It's really intercepted and is off the hands of Carswell and picked off by Marcus Patton. Pass was in an awkward spot for the tight end for the Broncos. Got his hands on it, and that flopped right into the arms of the eager Chiefs, who now will put it in play deep in Denver territory.
Well, the old tip drill comes into play. Boy, and it was really, Patton did a really good job of holding Carswell up initially. He kept Carswell from getting deeper. You see him right there riding the tight end. And then the ball a little bit back to the outside. It certainly was away from Carswell, and he was never able to catch it. All he did was serve up an interception on a platter. Not a good throw from Brian Griese.
14th career interception for Patton. Green comes back with a strike, incomplete on at the 17-yard line to Snoop Minnis. Well defended by Denard Walker.
Now you take a look at Denard Walker, who gives the inside to Minnis, but then with the great burst that all good cornerbacks have to have, times his arrival perfectly with the football. And even though it was a good pass right on the hands of Snoop Minnis, the hands of Denard Walker got there at exactly the same time. If you're a cornerback without a burst, you're not playing in this league.
On 2nd and 10, screen to Holmes. As a blocker, 30. And he's down to the 23-yard line, and a first down for the Kansas City Chiefs, and an injured Bronco at the play, on the play down at the 40-yard line. Appears to be Denard Walker.
Mike Carey, the referee, signaling injury timeout, and Denard Walker not moving at all.
Walker, the cornerback, coming up into that screen with all the blockers in front of Holmes.
Walker, a member of Mike Shanahan's complete redoing of his secondary here, a free agent that came to the Broncos from Tennessee. Well, there we see a hand starting to go up and down, so
not a very positive sign when you get concerned with these.
Yes. In this situation, you look for anything positive. You look for anything that's good. Being helped off the field by the medical staff. Here's Casey Wiegman, the center. Watch this collision, helmet to helmet right there. Inadvertent. Walker's the force, and there he just collapses after he takes a step. Wiegman doing his job, Walker doing his, but unable to get off the field without an arm over the shoulder of the Bronco training staff. And
unlikely we'll see Walker the rest of this game.
Well, it's just that was some blow to the head, and he obviously is in bad shape.
So Jimmy Spencer, number 33, the veteran from Florida, will replace him at the right corner as the Chiefs break huddle at the 24 of Denver, trailing 7-0, first down. Gonzalez in the slot right to give to Holmes up the middle, big hole. And he battles his way down to about the 12-yard line, a gain of 8. Monday on CBS. It's Monday on CBS. 2nd and 2. Alexander in motion. Holmes again, leaping for a first down to the 13-yard line. And Priest Holmes, I thought it was interesting. Leslie Visser's report on NFL Today earlier on CBS, where she chatted with Priest Holmes, a very articulate young guy. We enjoyed meeting him, and that Dick Vermeil actually spotted Priest Holmes' talent while he was in the broadcast booth working for ABC before returning to the coaching sideline.
And Priest Holmes, by the way, turns 28 years old today. That first down was a nice little birthday leap.
From the 13, Green to Holmes. They go to the middle again, and not much there this time. Kavika Pickman, Keith Washington, and others in on the tackle. Washington also played at Tennessee last year. Remember, we were doing a very critical game with the Baltimore Ravens. And Washington, with the Ravens, blocked 2 field goals that led to victory in the playoffs. Gonzalez and Dunn, 2 tight ends. 2nd down and 8. You keep your eye on Gonzalez. He's now the wing right. Holmes, plenty of blockers. And he slices to the 6-yard line, where it'll be 3rd and a long 2.
And that time it was Tony Gonzalez and Bill Romanowski again, only this time this is the versatility that a tight end has to demonstrate. You got to block too. And he keeps Romanowski. Now Romanowski has the outside, but Gonzalez seals him off. But Romo, a good job of fighting, and then falling back in and still getting involved on the tackle. These are a couple of heavyweights doing battle right here. Tony Gonzalez and Bill Romanowski.
3rd and 2. Holmes stuffed. Trevor Price leading the charge, the Pro Bowler of the last 2 years, 26-year-old from Clemson.
Well, this guy had 12 sacks a year ago, a great pass rusher from the defensive tackle position, but as we see right there, he plays the run too. Saw him get underneath Will Shields, didn't give up an inch at the line of scrimmage, and then had enough power to surge into the backfield and make a tackle.
Al Wilson there to finish off the job. Here's the short field goal try by Todd Peterson. 23 yards. Straczynski holds. It's up and good. So the Chiefs take advantage of the patent interception. Put 3 on the board. It's Denver by 4.
Dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Kansas City with a field goal. Cuts into the Denver lead 7-3. Straczynski to kick it off, and Chris Cole, his first kickoff return of this season, had a few last year as Casper sidelined with the ankle injury. Cole, the fastest of the wide receivers here in Denver, and he has a seam. Brought down at the 32-yard line, and a saving tackle by Larry Parker.
Now that's how you run back a kickoff. You just straight up the field as fast as you can go and hope that nobody hits you. But look at that gaping hole. Boy, that was excellent work by Denver against the initial wave of Kansas City. Speed scares people, especially when it's straightaway speed like that on a kickoff return. And Larry Parker gets over there and prevents what might have been a touchdown dash.
Now Brian Greasy takes over at his own 32-yard line with Mike Anderson in the backfield, along with Tony Carter at fullback. Eddie Kennison, Rod Smith, the wide receivers. Anderson. He's got quick feet, doesn't he? Slips left and then cuts quickly to the right out to the 37-yard line. A gain of 4. Bonnie?
Well, Dick, Denard Walker, part of the revamping of the Broncos secondary, was just carted off a few minutes ago with a concussion. I had a chance to look in his eyes. He looks very dazed, and he could barely even keep his head up as he was going off on the cart, and he is out for the game.
All right, Bonnie.
That was a violent collision between Denard Walker and Casey Wigman, the center of Kansas City. And boy, That's not a good spot to be.
Anderson already over the 100-yard mark, picks up the first down. He has 106 yards, 106 in this first half.
Well, he was the consensus NFL Rookie of the Year last year, even though, as I said before, after 4 years in the Marines and at 28 years old, he's an old second-year player in this league. A couple years at junior college, a couple years at the University of Utah. And just another in the endless supply of running backs here at Denver. Terrell Davis, Orlando Scary, Mike Anderson. And what an average.
From the 44 on first down, Kennison in motion. Oh, it's Anderson hit by Donnie Edwards. Edwards, the linebacker who played at UCLA, shooting the gap and right into Anderson, the ball carrier.
Well, Anderson has a lead blocker. It's straight out of the eye. You know, he's trying to figure out, Tony Carter, why he doesn't block Donnie Edwards. And Donnie Edwards got about a 4-yard running start right at Mike Anderson and made it pay off.
He learned to fight for his own as a youngster. He was the youngest of 9 kids. Gracie out of the backfield of Carswell, the tight end, and he takes a pretty good rap as well. As coming up is Greg Wesley, number 25, to finish the job.
And he heard about it from Wesley, and Carswell up quickly to say, you know, that didn't faze me at all. Dwayne Carswell, a tough guy at 6'3", 260. But watch, Wesley's going to be the last one, and you know, initially we got to play there by Lou Bush, and in to finish it off is Greg Wesley with a great shoulder hit and a good look at how to come up and strike somebody without having to lead with your head. He hit him with his right shoulder.
Third down, 11. Greasy under pressure, gets it off to Smith. Smith leans forward and may have the first down. Ray Crockett, the former Bronco, around his ankles.
Well, and that's a blitz adjustment all the way, Dick. Kansas City comes with the blitz up the middle. That means Rod Smith is going to break off his pattern. He sees the blitz, immediately just stops his pattern. Brian Greasy, you know, counting on Rod Smith to do so, gets him the football in a hurry. There's the blitz. See the cross right up the middle. Patton and Edwards both come, and that is a veteran quarterback and a veteran receiver making the blitz pay off for you offensively.
Crockett called Smith, against whom he worked in practice here in Denver, a very astute receiver. It was interesting. He said, as a rookie, I used to just jam him out of bounds. But Smith, while he wasn't very effective early on, said, how do you do that? What do I do? He said, I've actually tried to coach him. Now, I didn't give him all my secrets, Crockett said. But Smith has learned plenty of his own.
Great admiration between the two of them. Good friends. Crockett saying Rod Smith is all arms and all legs. He says, take a look at him. He's got a really small trunk. He's got the arms of a guy 6'6". He's got the legs of a guy 6'6", even though Rod Smith is only 6 feet tall.
Out of Missouri Southern. It's a great story.
Don't you love a story, though? 3 years on a practice squad, and just through nothing but hard work and dedication becomes a Pro Bowl football player. If you don't like that story, you don't like anything.
Absolutely. Here's Greasy off play action. He's going to go downfield and complete. It's to Smith again. 4 catches today. He's got 32 already this season. Had 100 a year ago.
Well, Rod Smith coming all the way across the formation, and Brian Greasy with the rollout buys the time. You take a look that Barty is in a chase position all the way, and that's an impossible situation to ask a guy to run all the way across the field. And boy, did Brian Greasy drop that ball in right over the top of Greg Wesley, right onto the hands of Rod Smith.
First down at the Kansas City 26. Greasy first down throw to the end zone. Touchdown, Smith again. Flag is down, however. A flag down at the line of scrimmage.
And this will be against Denver.
Now the celebration we hear now will be smothered very quickly when the crowd realizes this one's coming back.
But you notice how Denver has gone to the pass, Dick, and their effectiveness. Why? Because how Mike Anderson's been running the football.
Then we will shift against the offense. 2 men moving at the same time. The motion man and the center. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
2 men moving at the same time. The call, the illegal set.
Yeah, let's take a look at this from up top. You can have two guys moving at the same time, but it has to be before the snap. You can't have motion going on at the snap by two guys at the same time. That's just somebody losing concentration or else forgetting what they're supposed to be doing, and a touchdown's negated.
Nullifies a 25-yard touchdown. Orlandis Gary gets the call, and nothing there for him on 1st and 15 as John Browning and Marcus Patton make the tackle. Gary and Davis and Anderson giving the Broncos coming into the season perhaps the best running back situation in the entire NFL, and with the injury to Davis, obviously, as we can see today, Anderson stepping in, filling that gap, and Gary there as support. Oh, an injury here to Dan Neal, the right guard for the Broncos.
Not a lot of depth on this Denver offensive line. And again, this is a situation we're going to have to monitor pretty closely here with Dan Neal. I'm guessing the David Diaz-Infante, number 63, will replace him. Yeah, there he is out in the huddle.
Well, he goes all the way back to the '87 strike year. He may be the last replacement player left in the NFL. Played with San Diego then.
At right guard is Dan Neal, and he's in this pile up right here. Take a look in there, and the pile kind of falls on the back of his legs. And we'll get a report to you ASAP.
2nd down and 15 at the 30. Greasy blindsided, gets it off, and it's incomplete as the pass went awry as he was hit on the backside. Greg Wesley, the safety, on a blitz.
Well, Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator, is saying, I'm going to have to take a chance. Take a look at it there. Wesley, number 25, right on the line of scrimmage, unaccounted for by Denver. Brian Greasy, of course, had no chance to see him. He's working the right side of the field exclusively.
They really like this young safety, Wesley, from Arkansas, Pine Bluff. He was an outstanding high school basketball player, played very little football. In fact, was a walk-on in college, but they feel he's going to be a star. Timeout, 7-3 Denver.
See what happens when they meet again Monday on an all-new Late Show.
Back in Denver, follow all the games on NFL.com, and after the games, get in-depth analysis and recaps from the experts only at NFL.com or AOL keyword NFL.com. Dan Neal, the injured Bronco, being attended. It's 3rd down 15 from the 30. Greasy throws back underneath, and Smith has it batted away. A big play by Eric Warfield because Smith would have gone for a touchdown. There was no one else on this side of the field for KC.
Oh, and Brian Greasy trying to do his best John Elway impersonation, going to his right, throwing all the way back to the left. Ooh, just 6 inches more air under that ball in your right, Dick. That might have been a touchdown. But credit Eric Warfield. He got the play, and he made the play.
Jason Elam, who was warming up, hit a 63-yarder, missed from 68 yards. This one will be 48. Plenty of distance. He's got it. Jason Elam puts the Broncos back up by 7. 5 left in the half. Back in the AFC West. It's a great rivalry with the Broncos in top. 10-3. 48-yard field goal by Jason Elam. Kicking off now to Dante Hall.
Get out of bounds!
And this one returnable. Hall at the 2. Pursued at the 10. Runs out of room at the 13. Jimmy Spencer on the special teams, credited with a tackle.
You know, those are the kind of reversals of field that you can get away with sometimes playing college football, but it never works in the NFL.
Nada.
These guys run too fast. It's been a defensive struggle to this point in time. Both teams defensively really getting it done. There we see the interception by O'Neal. Marcus Patton takes one away on the other side, and this has been a hard-hitting defensive game, although it has featured outstanding running on the part of the Denver Broncos. That is the one aspect of this game that really sticks out. Mike Anderson's success running the ball.
Fake to Holmes. Green fires, has Alexander open, but can't hang on. Big hit from Deltha O'Neal to knock it free. Derek Alexander, who missed the first couple of games, Achilles, both legs, and had 3 catches last week in the win at Washington.
Man coverage all the way right here. He's got the outside of the field, and you can't throw the ball any better than that.
Took his eye off it and saw O'Neal coming.
You don't get that many chances at an easy catch like that.
Led the AFC in yards last year, did Alexander, 78 catches. Nothing inside as Priest Holmes runs into a lot of blue jerseys. Down at the bottom of the pile, Keith Washington.
Well, the new defensive coordinator here in Denver, Ray Rhodes, certainly a man used to calling things on the defensive side of the football. Defensive coordinator before in San Francisco, the head coach in both Green Bay and Philadelphia. There's Ray right there. And one of the great defensive minds in the game of football. And one of the game's really good guys.
One of the pupils out of the Bill Walsh San Francisco 49ers school. On 3rd and long, Green under pressure, stepping up and going deep for Gonzalez. Incomplete. Oh, he caught the ball while he was knocked down. The ball flopped out of a hand and right into his arms.
Jimmy Spencer going. I think that ball went right through the hands of number 33, Jimmy Spencer. Now take a look at this. Gonzalez goes towards the sideline. Spencer's to the outside, number 33.
He's got an easy play on it.
Well, then what happens is his teammate, Kenoy Kennedy, comes over from the inside. And I think Kennedy either got a hand on it as well, whatever. That's as lucky of a
35-yard.
Well, we're going to have a
pass completion.
And I think we're going to have a review here.
Based on whether Gonzalez might have had a foot out of bounds, what would be the reason for the challenge?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I was so concentrated looking at Kennedy and Spencer, I didn't get a good look at there's so much going on at one time. Let's concentrate on Gonzalez now.
Shanahan may be saying, I just want you to replay it because I can't believe it. Make you look at it again. Dick Vermeil was right there and, of course, applauded the effort of this all-pro Gonzalez.
The ruling on the field is being challenged by Denver.
What we didn't hear was the call that the ruling on the field was that it was a catch. So, again, that's where we start with. Okay, let's look at the end of this again. It looks like Jimmy Spencer is going to intercept it, but coming from the right there, that's Kenoy Kennedy. Okay, now let's look. All right.
Look at this.
Let's keep looking.
Come to Papa.
Oh, that is a catch. Initially, it looked like Tony Gonzalez may have had his his one foot that was swinging through the air, but the heel comes down. Well, that angle wasn't nearly as definitive as the other. Let's look at it again right here. Let's look at his right foot. The heel is down. The toe doesn't appear to touch the sideline. How good? How good is that? What a bad break for Denver, but how good is that concentration by Tony Gonzalez?
Should have been an interception. Instead, it's a 35-yard gain, and it was unanimous. Everyone we talked to, and especially coaches this weekend, said, is Tony Gonzalez the best tight end in football? And the basic thought was not even someone close in second place, and that came from Shanahan as well as Vermeil.
It's there may not be another player in the league that has a consensus of opinion about their standing in the league as Tony Gonzalez at the tight end position.
Because not only is he a fine receiver, we've seen that's his 3rd catch, but he is a big guy that blocks well. You can get a Shannon Sharp who doesn't block as well, and you get some big guys that block but don't catch. This is the total package. And meanwhile, Jimmy Spencer said, I had a sure pick. Kenoy Kennedy, stay out of my area.
Yeah, Jimmy Spencer appeared that he was going to have that thing all the way. And then Kennedy comes. And of course, Kennedy, he doesn't know. Kennedy's looking at the football. He's doing what he's got to do. There's no blame to be assigned here. You got 2 guys really trying to make a play. Kennedy there, number 28. They're coming into it. He's making a break on the ball. He doesn't even know where Jimmy Spencer is. That is just a bad break for Denver and an outstanding play by Tony Gonzalez. And Mike Carey, one of the best refs in the game, with the call.
The Kansas City receiver never went out of bounds. Therefore, the reception is good. First down, Kansas City. Denver will be charged with their second timeout.
Well, the fans are going to react that way regardless, but an obvious ball. Mike Carey, catch good at the 49-yard line.
This might get replayed a few times tonight on the highlight shows. Look at that. Come to me. Come to me.
Denver loses the timeout, of course, on the challenge, so they have one timeout remaining in this first half with 3:29 left before the intermission. As you all know, the Gonzalez story out of California, where he helped the Bears get to the Final 16 in basketball as well, was a top talent. Green down the middle. Gonzalez incomplete. He was hawked by Lee Woodall and Delta O'Neill.
When we talk about Tony Gonzalez's greatness, Dick, look where he's making that play, on the sideline. That's wide receiver territory. This is normally the part of the field where you see the tight ends, and we're not going to lose track of him this time. Al Wilson with him all the way, hands on. Tony Gonzalez is going to get mugged everywhere he tries to go.
Look at that top.
Yeah, and look at the names underneath him, by the way.
You're talking Hall of Fame, and he's beaten them all the first 4 seasons. Catches made. Green stepping up, fires underneath, complete to Alexander, and he's to the 35 to 34-yard line in a first down as the Chiefs try to drive for a tying touchdown. We have this report from CBS in New York. There'll be a 2-hour special edition of 60 Minutes tonight. Everybody loves Raymond, King of Queens, and CSI. 60 Minutes tonight, a 2-hour special edition on the events in Afghanistan today.
And we're getting a report that the Emmy Awards for this year have been canceled. They were to air tomorrow night. Is that correct, guys? Postponed. They're not going to. Let's not use the word canceled. I guess we'll say they're going to be postponed. There'll be an announcement to follow.
Bill Romanowski, another Denver injury.
Yeah. Well, Romo's been nursing a sore hip. Really played in a lot of pain last week against Baltimore. Again, Dick documented how this guy has never missed a football game at any level. Coming in from the right, there's Romo right there. And yes, he takes a hit right on that bad hip of his.
Yeah, he had a big ice pack on it as he talked to us yesterday.
And he said Friday where he was really pain-free during practice. He's been trying to get through practice. The guy just has a pain tolerance, I think, that defies description.
Ian Gold replaces him. Priest Holmes. He keeps those legs churning, and what looked to be little or no gain becomes about a 5, 6, 7-yard effort out to the 28-yard line.
All right, again, just want to come back and tell you the Emmys, which were going to be tonight on CBS, have been postponed. So
that's the second time.
Yeah, there'll be, well, certainly the events of the world, I think, mandated. It's a good call.
Absolutely. 2nd and 3 as Holmes gets 7 on first down. Green with 2:24 left in the half. Fires to the sideline. Complete to Snoop Minnis. That's his first catch. The 3rd-round draft pick out of Florida State. First down for the Chiefs. As we come close to the 2-minute timeout, where clock stopped at 2:20.
And we're really seeing on this drive the decisive decision-making and throwing of the football by Trent Green, where they went over 500 yards. Ooh, and Dick unhappy that they've got to take a timeout. Oh,
that's
you saw Vermeil's reaction to Kansas City having to burn a timeout.
What was the problem, he says? The first timeout spent by the Chiefs. They have 2 remaining. Denver has 1 left at the 2:09 mark. A reminder coming up on the next.
Thought that Trent Green moved to the next level. That as a Kansas City Chief, you know, this is a guy that we talked about as long as he's been in the league, really hasn't started that many games. And that last week he thought that he really arrived, that his comfort level of being in a Kansas City uniform. And when things don't go Dickie V There's
he learned that move in the broadcast booth, that oh no move. You spin around, then face the music.
There is passion aplenty.
Yeah,
with Dick Vermeil.
You have to love the man. So Green now from the shotgun. Gets it off just in time on the screen, and Caprice Holmes. He's to the 11-yard line and tackled by Kenoy Kennedy. And that takes us to the 2-minute timeout with a score here in Denver. The Broncos 10, Kansas City threatens, trailed by a touchdown. And welcome back, Dick Vermeil, Kansas City coach. But it was interesting yesterday. He said that this Kansas City team is about 3 years ahead of the St. Louis team that he took to the Super Bowl. So for Chiefs fans, pretty good word from the coach.
And especially defensively. He inherited a pretty good defensive football team. He knew it would take a little bit longer on offense. But boy, would he love to go to halftime in a tie ball game. He's got a chance to do so.
2nd down and 1 at the 11. Pump fake, another pump. And he's dragged down by Trevor Price, but a flag. He may have gotten a piece of the face mask.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. A look of resignation there on Mike Shanahan's face.
Personal foul face mask.
Well, they come in 2 varieties, and that's the big one. So that's a 15-yarder, which will be half the distance to the goal line from here. If you get your hand on it and get it off, well, then that's just grabbing. But this is,
personal
I think
foul.
we're going to see a takedown.
Major face mask.
Yes.
Defense, number 93.
Well, he grabbed it, let go, but it was enough to draw the personal foul.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he let go or if Trent Green just ripped it out of there the way he spun around.
So half the distance presents 1st and goal for the Chiefs outside the Broncos 7-yard line. A touchdown to tie with 1:54 to go in the half.
So time not an issue with Kansas City having 2 timeouts.
Fake to Holmes. Green all day. Throws for a menace, incomplete. Good defensive coverage for the Broncos.
Well, a couple of kids going at it here. Deltha O'Neal, the #1 draft choice, as Minnis comes all the way across the field trying to get open. O'Neal slipped and fell, but again was able to get back up and take away the inside of the field. Trent Green had really no choice but to throw that ball so high to get it out of the back of the end zone.
2nd and goal. Gonzalez anchors the left side. Green slips and down he goes. Al Wilson, the middle linebacker. His 2nd sack of the season.
Again, Kansas City so synonymous with power football here in a 1st and goal situation. Go to a pair of passes on 1st and 2nd down. And Trent Green slipping like that, that's a kind of a slip where a lot of times you'll see the guy injure a groin or something. That's an awkward slide by Trent Green. But boy, the Chiefs have 2 really unproductive plays.
Next, direct contact halftime report is coming up. Gentlemen back in New York with the scores and highlights of the early games, and then a CBS News report as well. Ball is at the 18-yard line. Kansas City now facing 3rd and goal from the 18. Dick Vermeil's team, a young team and very enthusiastic. Both he and Greg Robinson said it's like coaching college again. The enthusiasm in the locker room, on the field. Gonzalez sent wide left. Both wide receivers are to the right side. Gonzalez in motion. Green looks to the end zone and fires. Hit complete, and Deltha O'Neal again denying Derek Alexander. O'Neal leaping in front of Alexander, who appeared to be ready to grab a touchdown.
Well, outstanding protection by Kansas City. Trent Green has all the time that he wants to look at the field. But that time Denver's sitting back in his zone, and O'Neal has the underneath, and he gets a hand on the football.
Now out comes Todd Peterson for the field goal, as O'Neal wanted his 2nd interception. 35-yard attempt by Peterson.
I think this is his longest attempt of the season so far.
33 was his longest prior to today, but the 35-yarder is true. Chiefs are within one, 7-6. Or 10-6. On that drive was the 35-yard on the seat of his pants catch by Tony Gonzalez that kept the Chiefs moving downfield, but denied the touchdown to tie. And now it's Denver with 1:18 seconds left, but no timeouts left for the Broncos. Chris Cole awaits at the other end as Peterson, a Verizon Academic All-America at the University of Georgia, as was his counterpart Jason Elam at Hawaii. Two very bright young place kickers on these teams. Sends this one spinning toward the sideline to Cole at the 6. Well, he hesitated and he lost back to the 18-yard line. Tackled by Gary Stills. Next Sunday, doubleheader action here on CBS. First, the Super Bowl champion Ravens against the Packers will be in Green Bay, or the Steelers and the Chiefs. Then the Dolphins meet the Jets, or the Broncos battle the Seahawks. Check your local listings, beginning with Jim, Jerry, Randy, Mike, Marcus, Leslie, Deion Sanders on the NFL Today. For more, get NFL team reports at cbs.sportsline.com. AOL keyword CBS Sportsline.
Well, Denver going with 4 wide, 3 to the top of the field. And again, the lack of timeouts, they're going to have to make something big happen in a hurry.
Rod Smith, who has been coming up with the big catches for the Broncos, gets short yardage, 9 on first down with the clock running, down to a minute.
Same formation.
Greasy flushed out of the pocket to the sideline, and it is almost intercepted by Eric Warfield.
Trying to get the ball, I believe, to Travis McGriff over on the sideline, and I think it might have been a chance that Mike Shanahan's heart might have skipped a beat right here at the end when Warfield almost steps right in front of that thing and comes up. That's a dangerous way to live, throwing that football on the sideline.
Warfield, who's been around a lot of balls today, with a chance. He's from Nebraska, and fans and friends from the Lincoln area here to watch him and cheer him today.
Well, we saw Eric Warfield on opening day step right in front of Jerry Rice and take a Rich Gannon pass into the end zone for a touchdown. The season wasn't a minute old, and Eric Warfield already had a touchdown.
51-yard play. It's 3rd down and 1. I don't know what this discussion is about. There's 48 seconds left in the half. They moved the ball back a half a foot. Apparently the spot was inaccurate. That gives the Broncos a chance to get set.
The Chiefs more than happy to give them a quarterback sneak for the first down as the clock continues to grind away.
Good news, Dan, is that Dan Neal, number 62, back on that offensive line for the Broncos after injuring an ankle, and Greasy stops the clock at 35 seconds.
Yeah, Dan Neal sprained his left ankle. He got it taped up pretty heavily over on the sideline. You can see he's walking. Well, he's walking with a bit of a limp back to the huddle. But again, the Denver Broncos only dressed 7 offensive linemen for this game, and so they're a lot of teams dress 8. During the course of a game. So the Broncos with only 7, they can't afford to have a guy like Neal out for the rest of the game.
Greasy just 50% on his throws this first half. Rod Smith twists away, and he has a first down at the 45, but it costs time, and the clock runs. 24-23 seconds. Greasy going to down the ball here and stops the clock. 20 seconds. And a flag down. 2 of them. And it's as so many of these games in this long-standing rivalry going back to AFL days. Physical. Whatever it is, you play a team twice in your division. A lot of memories, not all of them good.
Start. Offense, number 62. That foul, while the clock is running under 1 minute, requires a 10-second runoff. The snap came at 21. Please set the game clock to 11.
Now, Mike Carey's explanation here is that when you have a
11
penalty like
seconds on the
that
game
without a timeout, there's a 10-second runoff on the clock. So Denver being called for the false start not only has a penalty, but it's not that easy to stop the clock. They run 10 seconds off. There's a price to be paid.
And of course, the thought here for Mike Shanahan, the Broncos try to get down across the 50-yard line, hope that Elam might kick a long field goal at the end of the half.
Well, and they've got to hope that maybe Kansas City gets called for some kind of an interference or something on a long pass, because it can't end on a defensive penalty. That's the other thing.
So Greasy steps up and then runs right into a white jersey as Derek Ransom, the fourth-year defensive tackle from Cincinnati, there with the play. And that'll be the end of the first half. Broncos won 50 of their last 55 games when leading at the half, but they led at half last week by a similar score against the Baltimore Ravens and lost. Bonnie?
All right, well, the Chiefs held to 2 field goals. Mike, can you talk about the importance of your defense and how they've really kept Trent Green in check, particularly in the red zone?
Yeah, they really have. And we had an opportunity down here to make the play and really keep them backed up, and obviously we didn't take advantage of it with that tip. But we got to just play a little bit better on offense. We had a penalty just not being set. We got that called back, and hopefully we'll get our rhythm back in the second half.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Well, the big producer for the Broncos, Mike Anderson, over 100 yards rushing.
Right through.
Back at Invesco Field at Mile High, where the Denver Broncos lead 10-6. A look at the first half statistics. 35 yards rushing for Kansas City, so the Broncos defense tough in that regard. Pretty well balanced half with a big run by Mike Anderson of 62 yards for a touchdown. The difference, even though he appeared to be or was out of bounds at the 3-yard line. Elam kicks it off. Dante Hall, and he thought about it, takes the touchback at the 20-yard line. Well, the AFC without an unbeaten team now. The Chargers losing to Cleveland today, and it does appear, especially here in the AFC West, this is going to be contentious all season long.
Good word, contentious. I think you're absolutely right. And the Chiefs, I think, have to be pleased with this showing. Again, they're on the road. I know that they've won here the last couple times, but again, you can never lose sight of the fact you're in Denver, and this is a place where a lot of teams have been routed. And Kansas City down only 10-6. You can't. No visiting team is upset trailing the Broncos only by 4 points at half.
Kansas City again has beaten Denver the last 4 times. Green comes out throwing wide open over the middle is Minnis. And the rookie out to the 34-yard line, a first down. O'Neal makes the tackle. Bonnie?
Dan, you're exactly right. Dick Vermeil very happy with his defense. He said, I think we really only gave them 1 play. Offense, another story. We talked during the game. Really need to do a better job of that. We haven't gotten our mileage today. Dick?
Thank you, Bonnie. Well, Vermeil, along with that graphic, so few coaches leading 2 teams to the Super Bowl, is the only coach in history to win the Rose Bowl with UCLA and the Super Bowl with the St. Louis Rams. Triple right, and then Alexander in motion. On first down, Green fires again and hits Alexander at the 41-yard line, a gain of 6. Derek Alexander played his college ball at the University of Michigan. Out of Detroit, and his parents make the drive here to Kansas City to see him play every weekend.
He's been nursing a pair of sore Achilles tendons, and as you can imagine, that's the type of thing that it's tough to deal with during the game, but where it really hurts you is getting quality practice time. Stopping, starting, cutting. I can't imagine playing wide receiver with both of your Achilles giving you problems.
2nd and 4, Alexander in motion. Green to throw again. 3 straight passes to open this second half, and Priest Holmes has a first down as he carries it into Denver territory to the 48-yard line.
Well, Dick Vermeil brought Al Saunders, the offensive coordinator, with him from St. Louis, and he's really mixing things up. And as Dick said, 3 straight passes. Looks like Price is going to get in there, but Will Shields at the last minute just gives him enough of a push upfield to keep Price getting in on Trent Green. And Al Saunders he has really gotten a system that he has sold to these guys. It's the same system that the Rams use, and why wouldn't you believe in that?
Quick hitting and another pass. 4 in a row to open the half. This one is caught by Gonzalez, and how tough a grab was that?
Oh, geez, that ball low and away to the outside, and Tony reaches back and grabs that thing.
And another Bronco injured.
Look at this ball from Trent Green, not where he wanted it, and really was more towards Al Wilson, the middle linebacker. But Gonzalez just look at this body control by Gonzalez, just staying where and going back and digging it out.
And meanwhile, a super player, Trevor Price, is down for the Broncos back at the 45-yard line, helped to his feet. We ask Greg Robinson, the former defensive coordinator here now with Kansas City, if you could take one player and put him at any position on your defense in Kansas City from Denver's roster. He said, oh, this man, Trevor Price, he said, he changes a game. He's that good.
Well, anytime an interior defensive lineman gets 12 sacks, Dick, that's outstanding pass rushing skills from the defensive tackle position. Now, Denver bolstered themselves at the defensive line with Chester McLaughlin and Leon Lett, who we really haven't talked about a whole lot. Both of those guys have Pro Bowl experience. There's Leon Lett. He's been to a pair of them. Chester's gone to 4. The big cat, Leon Lett.
Dick Vermeil comes out firing in the second half. 4 straight completed passes, and now the draw of Priest Holmes, and Denver was waiting for that.
Go back to the passing game.
Al Wilson leading the charge from his middle backer position. A loss of a couple on the play. Back to the 41-yard line. It'll be third down and 13.
I don't know.
Third and 3.
I don't know, Dick, if thinking that because Trevor Price came out of the game, maybe there'd be a soft spot there inside with that delay to Holmes. But Leon Lett sat right at home and stuffed it.
3 wide plus Gonzalez in the slot right. On 3rd and 3, Green to throw. Blitz gets it off. Incomplete. One hops it. The intended receiver, Chris Thomas.
And I think Ian Gold was the blitzing linebacker. He comes in from the left right here, and he's going to be untouched to Trent Green. Now, the good news is that Green was working the left side of the field. He saw Gold coming, but didn't have a pattern develop quickly enough to be able to deliver the ball.
So this first series for Kansas City to open the second half, very promising with 4 straight completed passes, but it stalls at the Denver 41. Straczynski to kick it to Delta O'Neal. Straczynski's strength hanging him up high, and he showed you that backspin he can produce. Let's see about this one. Got away from Larry Parker, number 80. He was down there, could have caught the ball. There was no Bronco around, and would have had Denver pinned inside the 5.
NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
Well, fielding a punt is tough enough when you're looking at it all the way. Being an offensive guy, trying to figure out where your blockers are, where the goal line is, Larry Parker just didn't have a chance to find the football before it bounced.
Mike Anderson, the first carry of the second half after a very productive opening 30 minutes. Marcus Patton makes the tackle after short yardage. Anderson was the Denver offense that first half.
Dick, we saw Larry Parker. Imagine how hard it would be. You're fighting off 2 blockers trying to sprint down the field. You then break free. You look over your shoulder. You see the football's in the air.
You're trying to see where the goal line
is. That's right. Yeah. And that thing isn't a pass coming at you on that lower angle of trajectory. That thing's dropping straight out of the sky.
Second down and 8. Anderson tries the other side, finds a bigger hole, but tripped up shy of the first down at the 28-yard line by Greg Wesley. Came up from the safety spot with help from Eric Hicks. Let's take a look at Mike Anderson's efforts in that first half.
Well, Mike Anderson, power and speed. Great blocking there. You see, takes Eric Warfield for about a 7-yard ride. Here comes Eric Warfield again from the left. This was the touchdown run, but remember, Mike Anderson actually stepped out of bounds. There's his left foot out of bounds at about the 2.5-yard line. There wasn't enough time for Kansas City to review it. The touchdown stood and stands.
Barreling for the first down. And it appears successfully. The Broncos now have it at the 31-yard line.
Boy, Dan Neal, the right guard, who injured his left ankle in the first half. You can tell he is really struggling to make it through it. He is showing some real grit and determination here. He's barely making it back to the huddle.
Meanwhile, Anderson now with 116 yards and 12 carries after his 1,487 yards as a rookie. 5 years of football, he's been over 1,000 yards every year. Takes the handoff from Greasy and plows out to the 37-yard line. As Dan pointed out earlier, Anderson not playing at all in high school ball, got mad back in South Carolina when they wouldn't let him play running back, so he said, I won't play at all. He played the drums in the band. Pretty good player as well. They were an outstanding band there in Fairfield, South Carolina. Went to the Mardi Gras. Then he 4 years in the Marines. Then in Mount San Antonio Junior College, he gained 1,000 yards. That's when he started playing seriously out of the Marines. Then 2 years at Utah, gained 1,000 yards, and then as a rookie 1,000. So
could you repeat that?
What a pickup! What a pickup for the Broncos. And he is pushed back this time by Eric Hicks from the University of Maryland. 14 sacks in just 11 starts a year ago. Looking for his first this season at 6'6" and 280. He's down by contact. He is. No fumble as Ray Crockett able to make the tackle, but Smith a fingertip grab.
And I'm sure Kansas City is going to argue, did he have possession? Let's take a good look at it. Oh, the out and up by Smith. Yes, he certainly had possession. He certainly did. He never pulled it to his body, but he has definite control of the football there in both hands. Kind of a dangerous way to carry it, but he doesn't come loose until he hits the ground. That was a sensational piece of work by Rod Smith.
Now it's Landis Gary finding a gap in that interior defense, and he's down to the 22-yard line, and Marcus Patton made the tackle. Back to Rod Smith, who leads the league in catches and yardage, and he's over the 100-yard mark again today. That ties him for the all-time Denver record in most 1,000-yard seasons, with Lionel Taylor, who had 24 1,000-yard games in the early 1960s. The great Lionel Taylor. Down as Gary inside the 20-yard line would have the first down, but
motion against the Bronx. So what do you think of the new ballpark here, Dick? Invesco Field at Mile High?
I love the old place as you did, Dan, and in many ways you feel like you're in the same stadium. It's constructed along the same line, same size, more amenities.
It's a beautiful ballpark. It really is a good looking.
Illegal motion on the offense, number 85. He went in motion.
It'd be nice if we could see the scoreboard, but that's just a little
second down.
Well, they brought the Bronco over. There was never a doubt that was making the trip. Just about 500 yards away. Right next door, Mile High Stadium still stands.
So after the penalty, second down and 7. Anderson back in there, and he's down close to the first down at the 20.
And I said 500 yards. That's basically from one end to the other. There's Mile High. It's just literally right beside the new stadium here. It'll be knocked down and turned into parking, which is a bit of a problem for the folks attending Broncos games now, because they're not going to do it until the football season is over.
And this, for those of you who know Denver, as you look at the yardage there, this is the site where the old McNichols Arena used to stand. Third down and short. Greasy left alone, so he'll run it to the 10, and a first down inside the 10. Tackled by Hicks.
And that was just a case where everyone in the Kansas City secondary was doing such a great job of coverage. They are going to bottle up everybody that Brian is trying to find downfield. Look at the play action. It took 8 of the Kansas City guys with it. And then when they finally were able to recover, Greasy's already downfield and picked up the first down. See, that's when you're running the ball as effectively as Denver, play action is beautiful.
Anderson on 1st and goal is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Donnie Edwards and others in there for Kansas City. We're in the 3rd period, running very quickly through this 3rd quarter. 5 minutes and change left with the Denver Broncos trying to add to their 10-6 lead. Move and a flag down as Anderson is swallowed by 4 Kansas City tacklers, led by Eric Downing, a rookie out of Syracuse. No preliminary signal.
Holding. Offense, number 78. 10-yard penalty remains.
And Lepsis, the right tackle, guilty of the hold.
Well, anytime the umpire throws the flag, the offensive linemen all kind of start looking around at the ground, hoping that it wasn't me. That's the umpire. Sometimes his flag will come on a face mask, but 95% of the time it comes in on a. It comes in. The right tackle, Matt Lepsis. Right here, we're taking a look at it right there. Yeah, he's got the hook, and he doesn't get it out in time. And the umpire was just looking right at it. He had Lepsis right in his view the entire time.
So it's 2nd and goal from the 17-yard line. Landis Gary, and not a big man. Gary at 5'11" and 210 is bounced back by Jerome Woods. Brings up 3rd down. Ray Crockett walked off favoring a leg on the previous play. We'll watch the sidelines to see if he's all right. From the 13-yard line, 3rd and goal.
They're rubbing his calf. Looks like they're working on Ray's right calf. That's it's an injury that as a corner with the stopping and the starting, it can really be a problem.
So a 3rd and goal play. Pump fake, Greasy, and he gets it to the 6-yard line. Marcus Patton there to greet him, and on will come Jason Elam in the field goal unit to try to put the Broncos back on top by a touchdown. Marcus Patton, his mother played professional football at $25 a game, and he learned at a very young age to love this sport.
There aren't many guys that can say that.
Mom, L.A. Dandelions.
Yes, a claim made by very few.
24-yard attempt. And Elam drives it through. Mike Shanahan's Broncos lead by 7.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Jeep, makers of Grand Cherokee, Wrangler, and the all-new Jeep Liberty. IBM, taking e-business and your business to the next level. And by Domino's Pizza. Get the door. It's Domino's.
Welcome back. 3:04 left in the 3rd. As Jason Elam, after that short field goal, kicks it off. 13-6 Denver. 8 minutes, 17-second drive to a field goal by the Broncos. Jonte Hall collects it at the 1. Former Texas A&M star sprints out to the 30-yard line and cut down by Detron Smith. Timeout. Broncos 13, the Chiefs 6. Back in the Mile High City with a reminder, Thursday on CBS, the #1 show on television returns. All new adventure in one of the world's most dangerous places. See it from the start. Find out who will be the first one voted off. Survivor Africa, Thursday, 8/7 Central on CBS. Green on first down, throws complete to Gonzalez, and he has another 15 yards and a first down. Tony Gonzalez.
Well, a typical day for Tony in that just a lot of spectacular things on every part of the field, whether it's catching, whether it's blocking right there on Bill Romanowski, and maybe just being in the right place at the right time. Well, why is it that really good players have a tendency of always being in the right place at the right time?
In all sport. That'll go in his scrapbook, that last one.
Yes, it will.
5 catches, 78 yards for Gonzalez today. This one thrown underneath. Juggling catch. And up to the 50-yard line goes Scoop Minnis. And a report elsewhere. Jim Nance, what do you have for us?
All right, we've got an update, Dick, on the Jets game. Jets were up at one time 28-6. Alex Van Pelt in for Rob Johnson, injured in the first half. Van Pelt's a peerless price. He breaks it 70 yards for a touchdown. It's Van Pelt's second touchdown pass of the half. Now 28-22. Let's go back out to Dick and Dan.
Things brewing at home for the Buffalo Bills. Thank you, Jim. Here it's 13-6. Low-scoring defensive struggle. At midfield, the Chiefs. 2nd down and 3. Lobs it up for Thomas, and it's intercepted by O'Neal. His 2nd of the game.
Well, Dick, why don't you try being an analyst? You explain what Trent Green was doing there.
I'll be right back.
Hell on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. And by the HP PhotoSmart digital camera. How will you use it?
Mike Shanahan told us last year that O'Neal has the hands of a wide receiver. Well, he's shown it today. 2 picks, and he stops the Chiefs at the 27-yard line, and Anderson barrels off tackle out to the 32-yard line.
Well, first of all, Trent Green delivering the football. He read the pressure up the middle, but not many good things happen to a quarterback when he throws the football jumping backwards and falling backwards, and which is what Trent Green did right there. But secondly, again, confusion between Green and his receivers downfield. That time Chris Thomas was the receiver closest, and he was nowhere near where Trent Green thought he was supposed to be. That's about the 4th time we've seen it today where Trent Green thought one of his receivers was going to be one place, and they were someplace quite a few yards away.
And he watches Mike Anderson make a brilliant quick cut back to the inside and pick up another Denver 1st down to the 39-yard line. We're in the final minute of the 3rd quarter. Denver leads by a touchdown.
You only get so many mistakes that you can expect to overcome on the road at a place like this, Dick. And Kansas City is coming close to using up their quota.
Big Anderson, Greasy to his tight end, Patrick Haight. And Haight played his ball at Alabama, out of bounds at the 46-yard line. That's probably the final play of this 3rd quarter.
Patrick Haight, tight end, fullback, H-back, you name it. He's pretty much the guy who does everything.
And that is the end of the 3rd quarter here in the Mile High City. Broncos 13, the Chiefs 6 will return to Invesco Field at Mile High right after this message and a word from your local station.
To his quarterback, it's a tenuous thing, the confidence level between a quarterback and his group of receivers, and that was not the first time that we have seen Trent throwing the football to a place where a Kansas City receiver had run to another place. Not good.
3rd down, 1.5 yards, and Gary has plenty. 1st down into Kansas City territory. Lou Bush made the tackle. At this point in the season, which team has been the most impressive? Well, here are some options for you. Mark them down. San Diego loses today. Green Bay trying to remain unbeaten. Oakland was well ahead. For the best NFL info on the net, including expert analysis, in-depth team reports, go to cbs.sportsline.com or AOL keyword CBS Sportsline and log on and cast your vote. The team you think has been most impressive really this year. And Gary giving Anderson's tired legs a rest, and he shows some spring, and he is to the Kansas City 43-yard line. Well, last week against Baltimore, that great Raven defense allowed only 61 61 yards to the Denver runners, and today 189 yards, led by the 144 from Mike Anderson.
And nice to see Olandis Gary getting some carries and getting back into the swing of things. He tore his ACL in there. Remember last year, the opener on Monday night against the Rams, and he missed the whole year. And nice to see him getting his legs back.
2nd and 6. Gary again. And tackled at the 42-yard line. Will bring up 3rd down and about 3.5.
And what a luxury to protect the lead, to be able to hammer away with the football. And when you take out a 1,000-yard rusher and replace him with a 1,000-yard rusher, while your injured 1,000-yard rusher, who's not even suited up, watches from the sidelines to offer advice. Can you imagine that? Mike Anderson, Olandis Gary, Terrell Davis, all on the same football team.
1,000 yards in consecutive years. On 3rd and short, Anderson back in there, and he bolts across the 40 and into Kansas City's 38-yard line, and it's going to be close to a 1st down. No signal yet. It is.
Take a look at Mike Anderson, going to go to the air here. A lot of traffic down there around his legs. He doesn't want to trip over Dan Neal, his right guard, who's down on the ground. So it's just a little hop and a skip right over the top.
Anderson comes out 148 yards, 20 carries, a touchdown of 62 yards. Gets a breather. Gary back in.
And playing at this altitude just doesn't affect the visiting team.
That's right. Here's Gary. Some terrific blocking throughout this day. We haven't really credited Nalen at center and Friedman Neal at guard, Teague and Lepsis the tackles.
I'm crediting Dan Neal with really sucking it up and going. He is obviously hurting big time at right tackle. A guy obviously used to playing in pain, started 49 games down at the University of Texas in Austin, and he is just so visibly hurting here today. It's what you like to think is the best part of an offensive lineman. Not much glory, but they just hammer over.
Gary spun down. A flag is down as he's hit at the 30-yard line by Jerome Woods. Back to Neal. You know, he'll need that rocking chair, and he can make his own. I always find it interesting when someone says, "I'll make my own furniture." It's against Denver again for a hold.
Well, I hope it's not Dan Neal.
The only time you're trying to say something nice about alignment, it's tough, isn't it?
This would be an offensive lineman's play.
Holding offense number 83. 10 yards, remains 2nd down.
Wide receiver Travis McGriff, who played at Florida, which reminds us college football coming up next Saturday. South Carolina Gamecocks against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Lou Holtz's Gamecocks unbeaten. It all begins with Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman on College Football Today. For more college football news, go to cbs.sportsline.com. AOL keyword CBS Sportsline. 11 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Denver protecting a 1-touchdown lead after the penalty. 2nd and 17 for Greasy. Pressure, has to throw it away. He was outside the box. No flag. Looking for Eddie Kennison. Well, it's interesting that against Kansas City, Denver has not thrown a touchdown pass for 4 games plus the 3 quarters plus today. Got to go back to Elway since the Broncos were able to complete a touchdown pass against the Kansas City defense.
It's funny, Mike Shanahan and the Broncos own everybody else in the Western Division. Of course, Greg Robinson, while he was owning everybody else, was his defensive coordinator for 6 years. But, you know, against the Raiders, against the Seahawks, it's just a phenomenal record. And only Kansas City has Mike Shanahan's number.
On 3rd and 17. The throw, he's got Smith open, incomplete. He let him just a bit too much, but Smith was about to run into a couple of Chiefs. They had a beat on him. One of them was William Barty, Woods the other.
Well, Brian Greasy knows he has to hit him right here in the soft spot between the corner, Barty right there on the left-hand side, and then the closing safety coming in, who you know is going to deliver the big hit, Woods. So he just overthrew his man by just a touch, but that was the design of the play, to get right in between those two.
Great pictures. Lance Barrow, our producer, Mike Arnold, our director, and our camera crew. Boy, they're all over. That was a beautiful shot of a man's effort trying to make a spectacular catch. Well, they run out of time on the play clock, but that doesn't bother Ruin. In fact, probably by intent, as He wants a little more kicking room.
It's always a touchy call on the defense. You decline that penalty and not give him the advantage, or do you take 5 yards and hope that maybe he shanks it or something? All the players turn to the sideline to look for advice. Nobody wants to make that call on their own.
Let the coach do that. So they will take the penalty back to the 50-yard line.
Sometimes you decline that penalty just because you just don't give them what they want. It's just the whole psychological part of it all. They want it, so you can't have it.
Of course, a coach thinking every 5 yards we can push him back. Let's take it. Who knows? Maybe the snap will be bad.
Of course, if he downs us at the 2-yard line.
I don't know what the
Please put 10:46 on the game clock. 10:46 on the game clock.
14 seconds on the clock. Clock was running during that discussion about the penalty. The students of the game, Mike Shanahan and Dick Vermeil. Just a delight to spend time with them. It's one of the treasures of our job to sit down with the great brains of this National Football League. A wobbler that Dante Hall will take it to 10, 15. Finally stopped at the 18-yard line. Chris Cole, 84 down there first after a 39-yard punt. Timeout, 10:34 left in the fourth quarter. Back in Denver for the best NFL info on the net, including expert analysis. Go to cbs.sportsline.com, AOL keyword, CBS Sportsline. Trent Green on first down, deep in his own end, throws out of the backfield to Priest Holmes. He's to the 24-yard line. One of the big players missing in the Kansas City lineup is with Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, Dick, last December, Tony Richardson actually had a career game, 156 yards against the Broncos. It must be killing you not to play.
Yeah, it's hurting. I just wish I can be out there to help my team, but, they're doing a pretty good job. We just got to get some things going.
Coach Vermeil said good news. Originally, the shoulder said you might be 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. Is it getting a little better, maybe sooner now?
Yeah, it's definitely getting better. Right now, we're just taking it week to week, and hopefully maybe next week I'll be back out there.
Tony, thanks. Dick?
Key ingredient, Tony Richardson in this Kansas City offense.
And here's where the Romo-Gonzalez matchup really heats up.
6'3". Actually 4, Tony Gonzalez, and makes the catch, and Romanowski there on him, but couldn't stop the play. First down across the 35.
I mean, no secret, you need a touchdown to tie this football game up. You're in the fourth quarter. You're going to go to the guy who can make the big play, and that's Tony Gonzalez. Romo will not stray very far from Gonzalez. He'll try to follow him anywhere he goes on the football field, but if I'm Trent Green, I want Tony Gonzalez involved in my effort to move this ball down the field.
And if I'm a fan, I keep my eye on 88. He's in motion now. Give it to Holmes behind the block of Gonzalez, and Holmes to the 40-yard line, where he's straightened up with a good solid tackle from Eric Brown and Leon Lett.
One of the things they're trying to use motion to get Gonzalez separated from Romanowski when it comes to try to get him out into a pattern, try to keep him getting stuffed at the line of scrimmage, and that's a good use of that motion to set up a running play. Now we'll see if the pass play comes off of that motion.
2nd and 6. He lines up in the same spot, a wing right, and in motion again. So the same look, and then into the pass down. The throws the other way, incomplete to Derek Alexander, who is looking back into the sun as he tried to find the ball. Delth O'Neal, who has started on defense today for the Broncos with the coverage.
Offensive coordinators run one play, trying to set up another. Again, we saw the identical motion that time by Gonzalez, but as a changeup, they're going to go to the other side of the field. And Derek Alexander looking back into the sun, but that ball was just thrown too far. That wasn't a question of the sun. That thing just appeared to be in a position Alexander unable to catch it. Too far out.
3rd down and 6. The Chiefs are 2 for 8 on 3rd down conversions today. Intercepted. And it's Delth O'Neal again, all the way to the 4-yard line. The trifecta for O'Neal.
coverage this time by Denver. They come up front with the blitz. They put pressure on Trent Green. They're sitting back, letting everything happen underneath. And Deltha O'Neal just steps right in front of Derek Alexander, number 82, who does not come back to the football. As a matter of fact, Alexander looks surprised, actually, that the ball was coming his direction. And Deltha O'Neal, not turning and having to play man coverage, sitting back in the zone, saw that football coming the entire way.
He replaced Ray Crockett, who went on to Kansas City. He was a #1 pick a year ago. So first and goal. Greasy throws. There's the touchdown, or will it count? Rod Smith in the end zone, but a flag down in the back of the end zone.
Illegal substitution on the defense.
Against the Chiefs, illegal substitution. The Denver Broncos finally have a touchdown pass against Kansas City.
Well, this time Denver puts a little motion to use. Rod Smith coming all the way across the formation, and Brian Greasy just puts the ball right there. Again, what a fitting day for Rod Smith, and again, the loss of Ed McCaffrey has put so much pressure on Smith's shoulders, and he has stepped up once again.
Even adds the extra point. Rod Smith's 8th catch of the game. A 4-yard touchdown, and the Broncos lead by 14. Jason Elam tees it up 20-6 on the 4-yard touchdown. Greasy to Rod Smith, and Smith has averaged 9 catches a game these first 4 games of the season. 36 already. Dante Hall deep. Hall will return it from the 1. And struggles out to the 22-yard line. Timeout with 8 minutes and 2 seconds left in the 4th. The Broncos lead by 2 scores.
Yes, is sponsored by Honda Accord. It's advanced, it's roomy, it's the Accord. Pizza Hut, where every week this fall, you can get one of our delicious pizzas for an unbelievable price. And by Circuit City. We know how you feel. That's why we're here. Circuit City, we're with you.
And Kansas City now with only 8 minutes, 2 seconds left, needing 2 touchdowns to tie. And Trent Green without a touchdown pass today, and 3 interceptions, all by Deltha O'Neal. You can bet he'll know where number 24 is on these pass plays. Fakes to Priest Holmes, and this is Mike Cloud, the former star at Boston College, and he's out across the 40-yard line with a penalty flag down. Kanoy Kennedy made the tackle.
Well, anytime you do a double fake like that to set up a screen, the quarterback almost always takes a big hit.
Pass interference. Offense, number 88.
Pass interference against the offense. Jason Dunn, big number 89 was what we heard. It was of Gonzalez.
All right, take a look in the slot, working against number 52, Ian Gold, and you just actually Tony Gonzalez is who's called. He's actually blocking as if it's a running play, and you can't do that while it's a pass play. That penalty, I believe, is actually called against number 88, Tony Gonzalez.
It was Gonzalez, yeah. And it's the first penalty against Kansas City today, as you can see.
You can't have it both ways. You can't be executing a pass play and allowed to go downfield and block like it's a running play.
So the penalty takes the Chiefs back to their 12-yard line. Green on 1st and 20. And he throws underneath and complete with Priest Holmes, and Holmes gets some of that yardage back out to the 25, about 12 yards.
Let's go back and look at the touchdown after the O'Neal interception. Right here is Rod Smith. He's on the wing, and rather than running downfield, watch him sneak and hide behind the Denver offensive line. Kansas City just momentarily loses track of him. Greasy gets him the football in a position where really by that point in time Kansas City can't defend. Pretty tough to track a wide receiver when he's running behind all those 6'5" guys.
Green underneath, complete to Alexander, and he's horse-collared at the 30-yard line by John Mobley, and that'll be just shy of a first down.
Well, what a day that second-year player, Delta O'Neal, had. He was their #1 draft choice last year. There's interception #1. He didn't start any games last year, predominantly special teams. There was #2, and there comes the hat trick. And, of course, the final one, his third interception, resulted in that Rod Smith touchdown and this 14-point Denver lead.
Got to go back 16 years for the great Dennis Smith, as Holmes picks up the first down across the 35-yard line. And we have a report from Jim Nantz in New York.
How about this, Dick? The Jets get 2 touchdowns in a 58-second span. A Testaverde touchdown to Anthony Beck. 2 plays later, it's Mo Lewis picking up the loose ball. Second defensive touchdown for the day for the Jets, now up 20. Let's go back to Dick and Dan.
All right, Jim, and what were you saying, Dan? Why is it the great players are always in the right place?
Yeah.
Mo Lewis.
Case in point.
First down for the Chiefs with 5:45 left, and Green goes long for Alexander, and it's, well, check that, Chris Thomas, not Alexander, that they send deep. The young man from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, covered by Jimmy Spencer.
Well, I'm not sure he was covered by Jimmy Spencer. I think he was blanketed, removed from the field, not a target, unable to catch the pass, smothered, you name it.
Give me that one again.
Yeah, there's nothing left. He, that ball.
Green did show, however, that he can go long. He's got plenty of arm. 20 for 32, but 3 big interceptions today. Second down the middle to Gonzalez, who makes another fingertip catch at the Denver 45-yard line. Bill Romanowski there to touch him down, and Green now in the hurry-up offense at the 5:26 mark.
And Tony Gonzalez and Bill Romanowski in a trail position. He's got that bad hip, and he's not going to be able to keep up one-on-one with Tony G.
Gonzalez has 7 catches, 110 yards. Green, he's sacked, couldn't get the ball off, as Lee Woodall seeing some duty today. The former San Francisco 49er, Pro Bowler twice with the Niners.
Well, the initial pressure comes from this side over here. Kavika Pittman kind of closes the pocket off a little bit, and then it's just good hustle, just good work. They just keep grinding away, and Woodall with a second effort finally collapses the pocket to the point where he falls in on top of Green.
Under the 5-minute mark, flags go down. That'll stop the clock at the 4:44 mark.
False start, offense, number 68.
That'll make it second and 21. Tonight, the latest developments in the counterattack on terrorism on a special 2-hour edition of 60 Minutes. 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 7, of course, out on the West Coast, where it'll be seen at its regular time. 2-hour 60 Minutes special tonight on the attack against terrorism. Tonight on CBS.
Mike Shanahan thinking, hey, maybe this is my shot to get win number 5 against Kansas City. Again, 4-8.
That's unbelievable. 4-8 is his career record against the Chiefs.
Oh.
Thrown up for grabs. It saves a sack as John Mobley was tearing Green down to the turf. No penalty.
Well, a couple things. The crowd wants an intentional grounding penalty, but I think more importantly, this is just too dangerous. You're just throwing a ball like that's just going to end up getting intercepted more often than not.
Where was O'Neal on the play? Let's see if the 24 is in the area. Might have been his 4th.
Well, Mobley was untouched, so Trent Green, certainly in big trouble there. But boy, when not many good things happen when if you're gonna dump it out of bounds. Just don't throw it up in the field to play like that.
Well, 3rd down and 21, and a timeout is called by Kansas City. Welcome back to this sparkling new stadium in Denver, where Trent Green faces a tough 3rd and 21 and throws it down the middle, complete to Snoop Minnis. And Minnis, the rookie, is short of the first down, but picks up close to 15 on the play, as they'll mark it at the 42 of Denver.
And now they'll get their opportunity to see what they can pull off here on 4th down.
Be 4th and 7.
They've got no choice but to go for it with 4:14 and counting left in the game. And again, what a shot. Number 53, Bill Romanowski around the ball.
Well, this is the hope for Kansas City. They've got to complete this one or they're doomed. Blitz by Gold. Incomplete. Ian Gold coming cleanly on Trent Green. No chance, and a flag is down, however.
There is a flag down
in the secondary of the Broncos.
Boy, good call by Ray Rhodes, though, coming off the edge. You're going to make Green make a quick decision.
Offense, number 88 is declined.
Tony Gonzalez for the second time ticketed for offensive pass interference. Incomplete pass, so Denver takes over on downs with a 14-point lead. And the sellouts continue in Denver. 31st consecutive year. Sold out party.
Well, an NFL veteran right there, Eric Davis. He was locked up on Tony Gonzalez. He was right in Gonzalez's face, tied up with him, and Gonzalez got called for pushing off. It was an incomplete pass anyway, but those were the protagonists.
Mike Anderson on first down and gets a couple out to the 44-yard line. The Chiefs will spend a timeout. Lou Bush made the tackle.
Here it is right here. Here's Gonzalez and here's Davis. Now watch Gonzalez come down. There's contact, legal contact within 5 yards, and then they called Tony for pushing off, trying to gain a little separation. And Ian Gold untouched on that corner blitz.
Let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, Dick, to a man, many of these Broncos wouldn't admit the Chiefs' winning streak over them would bother them. Brian Griese, however, an exception. He said losing 4 in a row to these guys has really stuck in our craw. Bill Romanowski told us before the game, we have to be more physical defensively, beat them to the punch. Safe to say they've done that today, and particularly one sophomore named Deltha O'Neal, guys.
Yes, indeed. It'll be a game that O'Neal will long remember with his 3 interceptions. Just in case you're wondering, the NFL record for interceptions in a game is 4. In history, 17 different players. The first was Sammy Baugh in 1943. The quarterback-plagued defense had 4 picks. Second down and 8. Whoops, that'll be a motion penalty, I would think, but there's no flag. Yes, there is. That one will stop the clock with 3:40 as the man in motion did not come to a full stop. Remind everyone that the Emmy Awards presentation, one of the top features in television annually, will not be shown tonight. They have been postponed. And tonight, 60 Minutes, a 2-hour special edition. Then Everybody Loves Raymond, King of Queens, and CSI. Our lineup on CBS starting at 7 o'clock Eastern. 6 o'clock here in the Mountain Zone. Well, there still is a concern for Denver, even should they win today. And it's marked this way, Dan. Rod Smith, 8 catches, a touchdown, 110 yards. The other wide receivers, 0. Ed McCaffrey's and the defense against Rod Smith. He's going to see a lot of double team, isn't he?
Right. Yeah, no, well, and why not? He is the only. We saw Kevin Casper go out early, though, with an injury. Eddie Kennison just not a factor.
Green bootlegging off the fake to Anderson, and he just makes sure he doesn't make a mistake, as Jerome Woods will be credited with the sack. Griese just sliding down, and here's the pass distribution today. 3 to the tight end. 8 to Rod Smith, all 8.
The surprise is a 0 for the running backs, because in talking to Mike Shanahan before the game, he said, I'm really going to try to get my running backs involved in the passing game, telling us that Orlando Scary is the best receiver of his running backs, but again, just trying to compensate for the loss of Ed McCaffrey. He wanted to have his RBs more involved. They weren't today.
Well, the Chiefs have won the last 4 games against the Broncos. The last time Denver won was in December '98. Terrell Davis had a 1-yard run that tied the score at 28.
Who was that guy handing off to him?
And that's the throw from John Elway to Shannon Sharp. Sharp's 24-yard game-winning touchdown reception gave the Broncos a 35-31 win. John Elway up on the Ring of Fame. Carl Mecklenburg went up there just last week, didn't he?
The Snow Goose. Look at some of those names. Tommy Jackson, Floyd Little. There's What a storied franchise. And to think how far they've come from those uniforms that they used to wear.
And Dennis Smith joined Mecklenburg. That was a ceremony last week.
How about those uniforms, huh? Back in the early 60s.
The vertical stripes. I love the brown and gold. So it brings up 4th down, and the Chiefs will get the ball with 3:22.
Is there another game with is there something happening over at
Say
Mile
goodbye to Mile High flag football game. Look at this fella. Montana and Elway and Mecklenburg, the whole bunch of them out to play a flag football game. It drew some 30,000 fans at $30 a ticket. Elway still showing his competitive nature. Larry Parker returns this punt from run, and he is dumped at the 14-yard line. Good coverage. Chris Cole down there quickly again.
Not that it's not fun to watch Brian Griese quarterback this football team, but I don't believe in all the years, Dick, that I've had the pleasure of covering this fine game of. I never took watching John Elway play football for granted. I never didn't think that I was watching greatness when I watched John Elway under center. It was just, no matter what happened, on good days and bad days, there was an excitement factor that just was tangible. It was physical. You could feel it.
Well, Montana was a great performer on a great team. Elway he strutted out there, and the old John Wayne, the Duke, he always brought something special. That was Chris Thomas with the catch out to the 21-yard line. Kansas City without a timeout now. Clock running at 2:37. They go 4 wide. Green on 2nd and 3. To the sidelines. Not staying in bounds, and now finally ducking out of bounds is Snoop Minnis, the young man who earned his nickname as a 2-year-old from mom, because he's always here and there and snooping around seeing what was going on. Played his high school ball in Miami. He's got 5 catches today after only 3 in the first 3 Chiefs encounters. First down. Dick Vermeil very confident about this team. He just feels that it's the team that'll learn the systems on both sides of the ball, and by the end of the year, watch out for Kansas City. The throw, and there's a leaping catch in a crowd by Tony Gonzalez. Who else? Covered by Kennedy.
Dick made a wonderful analogy to like changing your golf swing. You know it's the right thing to do, but in the interim, sometimes you don't score as well as you used to, but you know you're going to be better, and that's the way he looks at this Chiefs football team. He's trying to change a lot about it. He knows they're on the right track, and he's really confident they'll get there.
2-minute timeout. Welcome back with Hall of Famer Dan Deerdorf. Now, I've been thinking about something for about an hour and a half. You said in the first quarter in the screen pass, the linemen don't run as fast as they used to 20, 30 years ago.
Well, they're so much bigger and more powerful. And moving that mass takes longer, Dick.
I was trying to think back to the days when I called your work with the Cardinals. Intercepted again. Is it O'Neal? He's in the record book. Delta O'Neal.
Man, thank God it took an NFL record to get you up and talking about me. Can you believe this?
He didn't have an interception last year, nor any in the first 3. When he found out how to do it, it got to be quite a habit for Delta O'Neal today. 4 interceptions, the 18th man to do it.
Well, he just comes in a badly overthrown ball that appeared to be aimed somewhat in the direction of Tony Gonzalez. And Delta O'Neal just really had to sit and wait for that one to come, and it might as well have had a bow on it. Not much work involved in coming up with number 4. Oh, life is good.
A lot of games have been played for someone to get 4 interceptions in a single game.
And why do I sense that some of his happiness isn't being shared by the guy we just saw, Trent Green?
Coming up next, 60 Minutes. For those of you tuning in, it'll be a 2-hour edition of 60 Minutes tonight that will follow our telecast here from Denver, and the Bronco fans will go home saying, Yes, I even know how to spell his first name now. D-E-L-T-H-A. Deltha O'Neal from the Bay Area of San Francisco and California. He showed his stuff as a senior at the University of California. In his senior year, all he had was 9 interceptions and 4 touchdowns. And that earned him the #1 pick from the Denver Broncos in the draft a year ago.
I don't know what you have to do to be the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, but I nominate Deltha O'Neal.
We don't have to vote on AOL Sportsline.
I nominate Deltha. I'm really walking out on a limb, aren't I?
Well, the Denver Broncos will go 3-1, and Kansas City 1-3. So the Broncos will move into a tie with the Chargers in the West at 3-1. And the Oakland Raiders were winning at last I noticed, so they would share the lead as well.
And the Chiefs just keep plugging away. A lot of mistakes today, but again, I see so many things in the right direction. I don't think that they'll be. I don't think that they'll be overly discouraged by this, Dick. I think their team headed in the right direction.
Shanahan's Broncos go to Seattle next week. There's Greg Robinson. He comes over to say hello to one of his former coaching compatriots at Denver. 60 Minutes coming up next. And coming up next for Deltha O'Neal and the Broncos will be the Seahawks up in Washington, and Pittsburgh will be at Arrowhead Stadium against Trent Green and Kansas City next week. For Dan Deerdorf and Bonnie Bernstein, this is Dick Henberg from Denver, Colorado. The Broncos, tough defense, a big run by Anderson, and 4 interceptions by O'Neal. 20-6 winner.
Jared's always been an inspiration. Now it's